and all that fun stuff, so I can know kind of which direction to take it. I have one particular thing that I wanted to cover as well that I had by request from last week, and that was talking about chording, how to get past just chording. All right, so let's see. Let me share my screen real quick with you. Do, do, do. Yeah, and if y'all would just type in the chat, or you can unmute yourself as well. Just type in like if you're more beginner, or like what the biggest chord that you know is. What's the biggest chord that you're comfortable using? All right, cool, cool, cool. All right, so we should be able to see the screen there. And let me get my keys where they're lined up right here. Go to the right setting there. All right, cool. So you should be able to see the keys, all right? And we're just going to kind of talk about some music stuff for a second, how to get past chording. So a lot of people have this struggle, like, how do I get past just chording? You know, just playing it basic, right? So it really comes down to a couple of different things. There's a lot of things we can do, but one thing in particular that you can do is start thinking about chords as more than just chords. So what I mean by that is we can take like a C major chord here, all right? And that's kind of boring, right? So just C major. But I can take that C major chord and I know I can change it for one into a C suspended 2 or a C2 chord, right? So I can change the 3 to the 2. So here's a C2, here's a C. You can hear the difference. One just sounds a lot more advanced, a lot more worshipful, just a lot prettier, versus the other one just sounds kind of like plain Jane, right? And you know the trick from AP 100. You can turn any major chord into a suspended 2 chord. Okay, for you more advanced people, you can take a seventh, like a C major 7 or a C7, and add the 2. 7 plus 2 equals 9, right? So if I take a C major 7 and add the 2 or the 9, 2 plus 7 equals 9. So this now becomes a C major 9, okay? It says C major 7 on the screen. That's not really correct. It's a C major 9, okay? This is C major 7 here. All right, cool. So those are some beginner and some advanced things that you can do. But what I like to do is think about the chords in more than just a chord way. I like to think about this chord right here, which is a C2, as 3 different components. Okay, so what I do is I think, okay, I've got C, D, G. How many different things can I do with this? Now, if you really want to dive into some of this stuff, AP 100, I think it's lesson, if you haven't gone over lesson, I think it's lesson 7 where we really just dive into fills. There's a lot of lessons where we do that, but yeah, lesson 7 right here, 10 different fills and runs. If you go to this lesson, go to the PDF study guide, we have got a list of fills that you can do, okay? So this is kind of a big lesson here, but basically one is called the inversion fill. So you can play a different inversion. So here's C2. Oh, you know what? I'm going to the going to the lesson, realize you can't see my screen. Let me do a new share where you can see more than one at the same time. So I think we just need to hit this and this. All right, cool. You should be able to see the keyboard and this lesson at the same time. So this is AP 100, lesson 7, and I clicked the PDF study guide, okay? So first one is inversion fill, okay? That's basically just playing a different inversion besides the root position. So here's a C2, another inversion would be DGC, another inversion would be GCD, right? Okay, and CDG. So you have 3 different inversions you can pick from. So if I'm playing like, here I am to worship, okay, instead of G over B, I'm going to go to G2 over B as well, because it just sounds more exotic. I'm going to go to A minor next. Here I am to say that. I'm going to go to F, but instead of F major, I'm going to F2, right? This sounds better. So when I get bored of just playing this, just chording, what I can do is I can begin to change my version. So okay, and once again, all I'm doing is playing playing different inversions here. So I'm just, you do the same thing with the C major chord. Sounds cool too, right? G major chord, we're just playing, and we're just changing our inversions. A minor. Okay, cool. You can also leave out the middle note when you do that. So like on a C major chord. Okay, so instead of just playing the inversion like this, E, G, C, I can leave out the G, and it has a really cool sound too. Same thing, instead of just playing G, C, E as an inversion, I can leave out the C. Okay, so it just has like a little bit, I don't know, just kind of a cooler sound. And you can use this concept with just any kind of chord, really, just anything. Even, so Jeff said, I'm an intermediate player, only use 7th and 9th chords. That's cool, awesome, love it. So these concepts that we're teaching here, they apply to 7th and 9th chords too. So you can take these same concepts where, hey, I'm playing a C major 9. For a fill, change my inversions. And also I can take parts of that chord and just play it, right? All right, so the same concept applies whether we're talking about major, minor chords, whether we're talking about suspended 2 chords, major 7s, major 9s, whatever chord it is, we can apply this stuff. Donna said, beginner-ish playing C, G, and F a lot, but getting bored with that, trying to venture out some. That's awesome, Donna, I love it. So that's the first one, inversion fill. Play a different inversion besides the basic root position. And really take some time. I want to encourage you all to take some time, learn all your inversions, okay? Anytime you learn a new chord, take it through all the inversions. So if I learn how to play, let's say I'm a beginner, I'm learning about major chords. Go and learn all your major chords in all inversions. F. Okay, if you're more advanced, maybe you just learn how to play like a C major 9. Take that chord through all 4 inversions. Okay, maybe a 13. Take that chord through all 4 inversions, okay, and do it in all 12 keys, and that's really going to help you out. Minor chords, the same thing. You know, it's really helpful to know all of your chords in all their inversions in major and minors. Octave chord fill is another one. You're simply going to play the chord an octave higher as a fill. So here I am too. I lost my key. Here I am too. Cool, right? Just playing the same chord an octave higher. An ascending broken chord fill is the next one. So play the chord 1 note at a time going up. Okay, so that's what this is. So you're still just playing the chord 2, 3, in all different ways, right? You can also do it backwards. So you can do the descending broken chord fill, and that's going to be just the opposite. Just different rhythms, whatever you want to do, right? So that's really cool. So you can have some fun with that. These are just ideas, right? So you can take these concepts, just have fun with them. Now we're going to combine an octave chord with an ascending chord, ascending broken chord. Broken chord just means you're breaking the chord up into 3 parts, right? You're just playing 1 note at a time. So now we're going to play, you know, octave ascending, right? Different rhythms. 2, 3. Okay, it'll take some practice because you're doing it right before the change. There's a lot of different ways you can do it, you know. But that's the ascending broken chord. And then you can also do the descending chord an octave higher. So, right? So 1, 2. worship, right? So C over C major, G over B, A minor, and then F major. Cool. All right, so that's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 fills we could use. Another one is the 5-6-1 fill, right? So that's just the 5th note, the 6th note of the scale, and then the 1. Here I am to worship. You can use it like through the whole song. So, or if you're on the G over B, maybe use the 5-6-1 of G, right? Because it can change depending on what major chord you're on. So if you're on the F major chord, you can use the 5-6-1 of F. Sounds pretty cool. So that's just like a little fill that you can't mess up with. Grace notes, jazz notes, and blues notes, all the same thing, just different names. Just slide off other notes. You can slide off the black notes whenever you want to. Just kind of make it sound cool, right? Or you can slide off another white note. So you could do all I'm doing is sliding off the E flat to the E. And then I'm sliding off on the G major chord, the B flat to the B. On the A minor, you can slide off the A flat to the A. On the F, you can also slide off the A flat to the A. And then all right, you can also kind of slide from the D to the E. Right? So it's like you're playing a C2 first, and then you would go to a major chord. It's like, oh, change my mind. Okay, so just a couple little things you can do. You can also slide off the E flat to the D. So you're kind of just having fun with it. You know, just play around with different stuff. You'll like different things. Bev said, I'm from Oklahoma. Oh, cool. I'm from Oklahoma too. I'm intermediate in C, F, and G, struggle with B flat and E flat, and else hit the transpose a lot. Yep, I understand. Greatest struggle is being the only musician for our church. Ooh, let's talk about that for a minute. So we just did a music seminar at a church, actually in Oklahoma, funny enough. And it was at my uncle's church. We just did it for fun, just helped him out. He's a new pastor there. And so we talked about what to do when you're the only musician. They don't have a drummer right now. They have a bass player, but he doesn't want to play because there's no drummer. And so it's really just keyboardists and singers. So maybe we can talk a little bit about some things that you could do. Cool. And then we already talked about playing partial chords to get a different sound, right? So that C major chord, instead of playing, change inversions and play it like this, instead of playing it with all 3 notes, think about the middle note, right? It just has a different sound. We call these sixth, because they're about 6 notes apart. But some people call them drop 2. So, all right, cool. Let's see what else. Oh, right hand double octave fill. So what we're doing there is, like on the 5-6-1, I'm playing the 5-6-1, but only instead of playing it just in one hand, G, A, C, I'm playing it in both hands. Then I'm going to C major chord. So doing it with both hands kind of adds a different flavor to it, right? Makes it sound a little different. Cool, cool, cool. Also in this lesson, it's a big lesson. I've thought about revamping this and turning it into like breaking it down into about 2 or 3 different lessons. But basically you also have diatonic notes, which are filler notes. These are like passing notes almost. They're like, you're on a C major chord. So the C major chord notes are C, E, and G, right? So we're going to use the notes of the major scale to go between whatever notes we have here. So okay, so I'm going to just jam on C for a second. So I'm basically using the notes that I'm playing in my chord, and I'm using the notes between those as fills. if you look at a C major chord, well, we go over this in the lesson, so I won't spend a whole lot of time, but check out AP 100. Talks a lot about just adding fills and adding notes and things like that. Cool. Oh my goodness. So this is cool. So I hear a lot of people say they're struggling with playing in different keys. There is no magic bullet for that, unfortunately. It just takes practice going through our lessons. We introduce you gradually to new keys. The cool thing is if you're learning all of your chords in all 12 keys and you're making sure to practice them on a regular basis so you don't forget them, then when you start learning the new keys in some of the future lessons, then you're not going to have to struggle as much because you really already know the chords. The chords are not going to change. You're just going to be using them in different keys. For example, what I mean by that is that C major chord. We use the C major chord heavily in the key of C, obviously, but we also use it in the key of F and the key of G. Okay. Also, like a B flat major chord, we use a B flat major chord in the key of B flat. We use a lot of E flat. We use a lot of F. So if you've mastered your basic major and minor chords, there's really no reason why you shouldn't be able to play in any key. Think about keys like families too. So if you're going to learn a new key, what I would do is take like the hardest key you can imagine, like the worst one you would ever want to play in. Take B major chord or B major scale, key of B, and just play around with it. Play around with it for a little bit. Okay, so go to your 4 chord, which is E. Go to your 5 chord, which is G flat. Go to your minor 6 chord. In other words, just play all of the chords that go in that key. So your 1, 4, and 5, right? Those are always major. So you're going to play, look at the B major scale first if you need the cheat sheet. I think we've got it in AP 100 lesson 1. Yeah. The very first lesson, cheat sheet for major scales. And then just look at the key of B here. So if you read this chart, like it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 on the numbers, right? The letter I stands for 1, 2 is for 2, 3, I is 3, IV is 4, 5, V is 5, VI is 6, and VII is 7, right? So we're going to take B, that's my 1, and we're going to take my 4, which is E. We're going to take my 5, which is F sharp. Those are all going to be major chords, right? Because your 1, 4, and 5, so they're capital here. We talk about this in the lessons. All 3 of these are major chords. Your 2, 3, and 6, they're lowercase because they're minor. So in the key of B, your 1 chord is major, C sharp's going to be minor, D sharp's going to be minor, E is going to be major, F sharp's major, G sharp's minor, and then your 7 is diminished. It's not major or minor. You can just ignore it until you get to more advanced place in the courses. All right, so hopefully that is helpful there. That's how to just kind of jam some different keys. A couple of things you can do as well. There's actually several things you can do. Look at AP 100 Lesson 9 chord families, the trick to playing in a key you don't know very well. There's a lot of good stuff in that lesson as well. PDF study guide, you can watch the lesson. And there's also another thing you can check out. Where is it at? Oh, AP 202, playing in other keys, is another really good one. And helping you master. We actually take each lesson and work on it. So here's the key of B, and then you can go to your PDF study guide and you can study how to play in the key of B. Okay, and it gives you the shortcuts to doing so and some exercise songs. So if you're struggling in different keys, you could go ahead and jump into AP 202. Maybe you're playing a song in the key of E for church or A flat or whatever key you're going to be playing in. You're like, man, like I can play it if I just stare at the chord chart, but I have no idea what I'm playing. Well, go ahead and just jump into AP 202 lesson 8, key of A flat, and just jam around with that for a little bit. All right, cool. So got a couple more questions here. So that'll help you out with transpose and stuff because we want to stay away from the transpose button. So Bev said, we have a Roland Phantom that has pre-recorded music, all in a style very difficult for me. The user presses a designated key to switch from verse to chorus to bridge, etc., but the player does not realize when the rhythm is off. Ooh, that would be kind of tough. So it sounds like you, of course, want to make sure that they've got some really good rhythm going. So let's talk about it for a second. Let's talk about what you can do. And if you're the only musician, or maybe if you find yourself in a position where there's nobody else playing. Okay, so a couple things that we talked about at the seminar we did last Friday night was, well, let me take off the screen share real fast. A couple things that you can do. There's actually a lot of things that you can do. One thing that I would recommend is checking out Loops by C-Dub. And this is an app you can get on your phone. Just typed it in the chat. And I've talked about this before, I know. But basically, what I really like about it is it's very simple. Let me see if I can find it here. I don't use it much on my phone. We use it on our iPad at church. It is a free app, but you only get like 5 or 6 free loops with it. So what a loop is basically like just a percussion, just a rhythm. That's basically what a loop sounds like. That's a 6/8 loop. All right. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He loves us. Oh, how. Right. So that type of feel. You've also got like a different. So there's all different types. There's literally hundreds of them. You can find them for any style song almost. And you can also switch from loop 1 to loop 2. And basically what that does is it changes it from just a loop to where it actually is a drummer. It basically replaces the drummer, although it's just very repetitive. It's always the same thing. He's not doing any fills or anything like that. So for me, that's what my go-to would be if I didn't have any other musicians to play with, mainly a drummer, because you really kind of need a drummer in church. It's difficult, right, without one. But that really gives you the setup. One thing that they were asking me about at the seminar is how do you connect this to your how do you connect this to your sound system? So let me show you real quick. It's really easy. Let me grab this little thing here. So, oh, I've got it taped on. Okay, this little guy here is called a dongle, okay? So basically what it is, it's got a lightning in that goes into your phone, just like a charger. I've got an iPhone here. And the other end is an audio port, okay? An audio port is like, let's see if I got one here. It's like a tiny little hole like this, just like you would plug into like your headphones into something, like a little tiny hole. So this is an 1/8 inch audio port. Okay, the one next to it is a 1/4 inch. Okay, 1/4 inch takes like a bass or guitar cable. Okay, that's what that takes. But what you need here is you need to take this dongle. It's a funny word, but you take it and you attach it to your phone or to your iPad, whatever you're using Loops by CW or the loop thing on. Okay. And then you're going to need to attach it to your sound system. So typically sound systems need one of these, right? It's a bigger one. So this is a 1/4 inch, like you would plug into like a guitar or something, or, you know, an amp. So you're basically going to need to convert. I wish I could show you the little tiny one. Well, I got one here too. Yeah. So you'll need to convert basically this, which is what's at the other end of my dongle that I have taped, right? You would need to attach that to this, okay? And then this would basically, that would allow you to plug into your sound system, okay? Hopefully this is making sense. I've got this thing taped, so I can't really take it apart to show you. But basically, the way it works is this dongle right here is just this little short white part, not the rest of it. It attaches to this guy, and then that attaches to a cord that goes into your sound. Or you could even plug it into the back of your piano. Most of your pianos, whether you realize it or not, they have an output. It's an additional output that you can plug straight into. I don't recommend that because then it's harder to control the volume, but it is an option that you can do. But if you've got a sound guy at your church, once you show him this, he'll be like, hey, I got you. You know, I can get you hooked up from here. And then I do recommend you'll need to get one of these as well. It's got the 1/4 inch connection on the back to go into your soundboard, you know, for a cable to run into your soundboard. And then you'll need, has this on the other side. All right, cool. And then Bev said, our keyboard is not accessible to the sound system. Oh, okay. So it just literally comes out of like an amp or something, I guess. You'll have to fill me in how people hear it. So, but yeah, most people, their keyboards are going to be running through their sound system, most churches, right? Like that's the ideal situation. Sometimes if it's running through an amp, I don't know. Maybe that's the situation there. I'm not sure, but just fill us in. Give us a little more info there. So that's one way that you can do it. The other way you can do it is basically to can the music. And what I mean by that is there's an app called Prime. It's by Loop Community. Let me type that in real quick. And basically what you do is you purchase, you go on their website, Loop Community, you download the app on your iPhone, tablet, whatever you got, and then you will be given basically like this, okay? you're going to be given songs, and you can, let me play something for you real quick. Like I've got, what's one that everybody would probably know? Mm-hmm. We could do like Your Great Name. Everybody sings that one, right? So this is literally all playing out of my phone right here. So it basically gives you like a full like 8 or 10 piece band in your pocket. Okay. So it's been around for a while. So y'all may have heard of this already, but that is really, if you're the only musician there and you want to get a fuller sound. Now, if you're a smaller church, some smaller churches, like that's just going to be overkill for them. And in that case, hey, until you can train a drummer, until a drummer comes along, then you can just use the loops like you got. Okay. And that's about the best way to do it that I know of. There's a couple of other ways to do it, but they're a little more intensive than this lesson really wants to go. So, Bev, she said small church. Bev, if you could tell us how people hear your keyboard. Does it just come out of the speakers on your keyboard, or are you plugging into an amp? You know, what exactly are y'all doing? We'll see if we can dive a little deeper here. Cool. Hopefully this is helpful, y'all. Any questions? Anybody got any questions here? I know we've been kind of all over the place with some different stuff, but I think these are common things that a lot of churches struggle with, you know, like, hey, I'm the only musician, or hey, I'm tired of just chording. We also talked about at the seminar, basically just like using a good mix. You know, Jesus talked about not putting, you know, new wine into old bottles, old wine into new bottles. And in church, we've got to have a good like mix uh, of 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 just a lot of different styles of music. I feel like now every church is different, so you got to do what matches your church. But for instance, I started asking them some of the songs they sing. Like in our church, some of the songs we sing are like contemporary Christian music, which is more like, you know, Elevation Hillsong. Some of the stuff we do is old fashioned, like, you know, Southern gospel, I guess you would call it. Some of it's just Pentecostal style, like more like black gospel, older school stuff. Some of them, sometimes we sing hymns, you know, like out of a hymnal or something, you know, but we dress them up. So we try to really keep it where it's interesting, where we're not doing too much of one style, but we're able to kind of appeal to everybody's taste in music. Because, you know, when you've got older people in the church and you've got younger people in the church and you've got people right there in the middle, you know, you want to have a little something for everybody. So, and there's a way to do that and do it well. So Bev says she's got piano speakers built in. Okay, cool. Well, yeah, if that works for y'all, great. I know for if it's real small, you know, once you start growing, right, then you're going to need to be able to actually run that through a sound system or something where if it got louder, everybody could hear it. So awesome, cool. We've been going for about 30 minutes here. Um, yeah, anybody got any questions, any feedback? Feel free to unmute yourself. It's funny, these calls, you know, like we try to make them as secure as we can. There's a passcode on there you have to put in, you know, to get in there and everything. But everybody's always still scared about like turning their video on and stuff. So I think it's funny. Um, Jeff said, I watched your service. You have a good mix. Hey, thanks for saying that. You know, to be honest, we've been trying to work on getting our mix better for our service. So it's hit or miss, man. But I appreciate the kind words. Sometimes it's the mix is great on the online, sometimes it's not, and sometimes even in service we struggle. So it's a moving target. So always trying to get better. Cool. All right, so let's do this. I'm just going to kind of go over some stuff. Let me jump into some of the jump back into some of the lesson stuff and just share a little bit more with us about that. So let me share the screen. And then we'll jump into look at some of these lessons here. So the way we designed this system of learning is basically in a way where you're learning in a specific order for a specific reason. Because when we were teaching these lessons in person a lot, we really tested them out on people. And I still today, I'll teach them in person lessons, not many, but basically we tested these lessons out to make sure that it would work. I had some other curriculums that I tried to have my students purchase, and they were too tedious. They took forever to get to the point. You know, just weren't real great in my opinion. So we started writing our own lessons. So in AP 100, kind of our goal is basically just to get you where you can actually play some songs in church, right? Just basic stuff. You can do some fills. You know how to use a sustain pedal. You know to lift off the chords. You know how to use some rhythm. You know how to play in keys that you haven't mastered yet. And we've introduced you to some fast song like vamp type stuff. And somebody asked me in an email earlier what a vamp is, and basically a vamp is like, let's say you're playing on a fast song like um, this means war, or like can't nobody do me like Jesus. Let's do it in F. Or let's do it in G. So, you know, so basically, when we're playing that song, you notice we're on the G for a very long time. Like we're on the G here for a minute. We're on the C for a while. So if you see the chord chart, it's literally going to say like C, like G major, and then when you're on the C chord, it's going to literally say C major or C7 or something, right? And so that gets kind of boring if you're just playing "Can't Nobody Do Like Jesus." You know? So what we're doing when we vamp, and you can go over the lesson, you know, check out AP 100 lessons 10 through 12, or you can check out AP 104. We dive a lot into this and how to play fast songs. On a vamp, we are literally trying to play some passing chords, right? Maybe some walking bass lines. Right, so I'm on the C chord. Maybe I'm going to use some F passing chord there, and then back to the G. Okay, and on my G chord, I'm going to use like a C passing chord. So those are just kind of the things that you're doing when you're doing the vamp. So study AP 100. It'll dive into a lot of that stuff. Once we get into AP 101, though, and honestly, you can skip the original. If you come to the original one, we may even take that one off eventually. But once you get to AP 101, we start going into the musical Roman numeral system, which is like super important. We start going into ear training stuff. So like the 1 to 6, how to hear the 1 to 2, the 1 to 3. We start just introducing you to ear training. We go over some like how to master all 12 keys. We play Jesus is the answer in all 12 keys. And then we do some minor seventh, major sevenths. We introduce you to seventh chords, give you some really good exercise songs for them, and give you some fills that we can use on those chords. Okay. And then you've got the original AP 101, which you can just skip if you took the new one. AP 102, we start diving into more chords, right? So we're trying to introduce you to all 33 chords that we use in gospel music. So we dive into the augmented, the diminished. And the cool thing is with our system, what we found really works is not like hitting people with a bunch of chords at one time and like, learn these chords. But instead is like teaching them like, hey, this is an augmented chord. Here's how we use it. This is a suspended 4 chord. Here's how you make it, but here's how we use it. And also here's some exercise songs and some real church songs to practice it with. And doing that, we just had a lot more success teaching people these concepts. And then as we finish up AP 102, we're going to learn a lot of new songs, but we're also going to be doing sixth, minor sixth, augmented sevenths, half diminished sevenths. We're going to do some more advanced vamp type stuff. AP 103 is going to dive into the ninths, the fully diminished sevenths. You're going to learn how to do walking bass lines. What else? Yeah, I think that's pretty much it in that one. Also augmented sevenths with a sharp 9. And then once you get to AP 104, it's actually AP 104 is a little bit of a review of what we've already learned. So you can actually skip if you've done everything before AP 104, like all the way up through 103. You can actually skip the first 8 lessons. We tell you this in each lesson, like, hey, you can skip this lesson if you've already taken this lesson. Sorry about that. And then we, at the end of the course, AP 104 lessons 9, 10, 11, 12, we start diving into the 11th chords, okay, the 11th chords. AP 201, we do a review. Like we always try to start our courses off with a review of what we've been doing. And then we also dive into what else we got here. Oh yeah, 11th chords, 13th, how to substitute them, how to play them, where to use them, exercise songs, just all that fun stuff, you know. All right, cool. And then as we keep diving through it, Okay, cool. I got some feedback here from Jessica. She said, I've started using some of the exercise songs, especially with 11s and 13s as talk music the nights as well. Awesome. Oh my goodness. Yeah. Love doing that. Like these exercise songs that you're learning, they're not just for you to like just be bored and you have to try to play them, you know, because you got to learn the chord. But we're actually, we're not just making like, we're not making the exercise songs like where they don't make sense. But the exercise songs are actually written in a musical way still, right, Jessica? Like they're written, like if you're in the key of C, we're using the chords that you would normally use in the key of C with these chords. So it works well. Awesome. Thank you for saying that. We talked about playing other keys, how to play in other keys. And then we also go into talking about how to like really diving into this playing by ear thing, how to figure out what key a song is in by ear, some tricks to do that, how to figure out some chords, how to like find the chords in some well-known songs, using the bass first theory to figure out a song. Just some really neat stuff there. Also, these get glossed over a lot. I need to make them their own course, but AP 401 and 402, oh my goodness, massively important here. Massive, massive, massive. I need to put them in their own module, but basically, or in their own course. But basically, what they are, they're literally ear training major chords. And so you can listen to these while you're driving down the road. You can also play with them as practice. Like if you want to learn all your major chords, you can literally, it says like C major chord. I don't know if you can hear that. And then it plays the C major chord in all the inversions. Okay. We may copy and paste these videos to another, like the AP 100, like maybe to the corresponding places eventually, but I don't have them yet. AP 402. I think it dives more into the progressions. Yeah, we dive into progressions 1 to 4. We go from the 1 to the 4 in literally every single key. And then we also have some different movements on the 1 to the 4. So we start off just using major chords, but then we start adding in some other stuff too. So that's some really neat stuff there. And then AP 204 is a really fun course. If you haven't dived through this yet, is it dived or dove? I can't remember what the English is so hard. But AP 204, we basically talk about how to do filler notes. We dive into the music Roman numeral system. But here's what's cool about this course. So the first 6 lessons are all progression stuff. So we're literally going through and teaching you all of these different progressions. And like we're studying them individually. Like AP 204 lesson 4 studies the minor 2 and the major 2 chord and 11 different progressions to practice to use with the 2 chords and how to hear these by ear. So this is literally going to train your ear where you can start recognizing these progressions really well. And then the last 5 or 6 lessons, I think it's 6, we're going to dive into chords again. So we're going to really practice, really dive into learning all 12, like we're practicing the chords in every key, like dominant 7ths, practice that in every key, all inversions. And we'll give you the exercises where it'll literally teach you how to play by ear and how to recognize these chords by ear. And believe me, guys, I wasn't born with some gift where I just recognized chords. Like I went through the same exercises that I give you that taught me how to play chords. And the way we do that is you literally just play the chords in every inversion, in every key. F7, B flat 7, E flat 7. Okay. And you can use this in conjunction with the video. You can even go back to AP 401 and practice it with that as well. But doing this will really, and we try to make it fun too. So it's not just boring, like, oh, you just sit there, That's like your homework. It's like when you go to school, like they give you homework, right? So basically that's your homework and your goals is to go through and practice those concepts. So we give you action goals, but they're reasonable action goals. Like they're not going to take you all day. I mean, it'll probably take you 15 minutes to do it, believe it or not. In fact, to go through all 12 keys in all inversions on a 7th will literally probably take you, I don't know, we could do it, I can time myself. I'm going to guess, I don't know, I'm just curious now. I would say it'd probably take you like, what, 2 minutes, maybe max? Now that's once you get it down. Now when you're first learning it, right, you may have to sit there and it may take you 5, 10, maybe 15 minutes to figure it all out. But that's why you have the PDF study guide, right? So now we've got dominant 7ths, AP 204 secrets, lesson 7. You played all 12 keys and we've got all 4 inversions of the chord for you. So you just look at it. Oh, there's D flat. Cool. Oh, there's D. Sweet. You just go through all of them. It won't take you probably, like I said, 5 minutes, 10 minutes back. Awesome. And there's so much more here, y'all. I mean, you can go, we try to make it where you can go as deep as you want. AP 301, we dive into tritones, more advanced stuff. modes, scales, how to use those as fills and runs. AP302 is just a really fun course. This is one of our new ones that we redid. And basically we sit down and just hang out. Like I'm just playing songs with you. So just playing like Amazing Grace, a remix version, and showing you what the fills and runs that I would personally use if I were playing it. AP303, if you want to learn how to read music, you dive into that for the first 2 lessons. And then we teach about how to basically take like all the chords, or how to take hymns and like dress them up, make them sound more exciting. So like He Set Me Free, the Old Rugged Cross, we take that one and then we play it and dress it up with some like smoother sounds. And that's an updated lesson as well. You can see it's got the newer on-screen keyboard and stuff. And then AP304, once again, more advanced stuff. And this is all fast song, like shout music, stuff like that. And then we've got our choir parts course, if you're interested in learning how to do choir parts, how vocals work, that type of stuff. And then we got more shout stuff by request. So AP601, this is a new course as well, has the newer on-screen stuff. And then 701's we've got gospel jazz, how to take these chords. And yeah, you probably already would have mastered this stuff, honestly, most of this, if you've taken the other courses, but it's there. People like that, take it as a 3-part series sometimes. If they are more advanced and just want to dive into advanced stuff. We do voicings. Voicings are huge. Okay. So we'll dive into what these are, but basically in a nutshell, like let's take a C major 7. So depending, this helps a lot of times if you want to hear like certain notes on top of each other. So like what I mean by that is take a C major 7, which is C, E, G, B. Okay, we're going to kind of break the chord up into different parts, and there's a formula for it. Okay, so here's a C major 7, like the Apostolic Braithwaite. We just take the major chord and drop the 7th down a half step. So the way the formula works is left hand is 1 5, right hand is 7 3 5. That's whenever you want the 5 to be on the top. Okay, we're just going to use it as a C major 7, for example, for now. You play them all 12 keys. It's just a voicing for a major 7. How nice. Okay, next we're going to take and we're going to do where the 3rd's on the top. Once again, we have 1 and 5 in the left hand, but now we have 3, 7, and 3 in the right hand. Okay, we go to F, the same thing. Just a voicing for a major 7, right? Major 7s are pretty. All right, cool. Now we're going to do it where we've got the 7 on the top. 1 and 5 in the left hand. Sorry if it sounds familiar. 1 and 5 in the left hand is pretty much for every one of them. Not all of them, but almost every one. And then the right hand is 7 3 7. So that's if you have a 7 on top of a C major 7, of a major 7 chord. All right. And then there's one more because you have a 4-note chord here, right? So there's 4 different options that could be on the top. The last one we haven't done is with the 1 on the top. So that's just going to simply be this inversion of C, a first inversion. And the left hand is 1 and 7. Okay, pretty cool. But these are just like shells, okay? So what I mean by that, this is just the shell of the chord. So for you more advanced guys, you can take this and fill it up. You can make it a lot fuller. So for instance, let's go back to this chord here. So this is with 3 on top, right? I can start filling it up a little bit with some other notes. Maybe I can add an A to that in the left hand as well. Maybe an A flat. Just kind of play with the sounds, right? Maybe I could do 1, 5, and 6 in the left hand. So you can kind of start filling the chords up a little bit. You know what I mean? And that's pretty much it. Also, you can take with other. I said I wasn't going to go into it, but and then you've got also it's the same formulas for any of the 7s, right? And if you think about it, if you use our cheat sheet for where is it at? We got a little cheat sheet here. Let me show you. 33 chord mastermind quick reference. This is a really cool resource. There's probably like 7 or 8 different types of 7th chords, maybe more than that, maybe 10. I don't remember. It's on my cheat sheet here. But you can get this mastermind thing. It will tell you how to make each type of chord, how to break it down. It gives you an example chord in the key of C as well. All right, pretty cool. I just had a question here said, how long have you been playing piano? You play these chords without really even thinking about it. Oh man. So I started playing piano, really playing piano when I was, well, I want to be honest here. So I was like 5 or 6 when I started playing, but I started off with like classical stuff, just like and not even classical. Like my mom would just show me songs. She would just basically be like, um, and I would just like watch. She would just teach me the song, and I would just learn it, and I would do a little bit of sight reading and stuff. And then I took lessons, classical lessons, when I was like 11. I was really into it for a while, but it was just kind of a I don't know what to call it. I don't say a waste of time. I mean, it was cool. I got my fingers probably moving quicker than they would have been. But when I was probably 16 is when I really started playing church music. Before that, I was like diving. I was probably like most people. Like I played major and minor chords, and I would look at the chord chart, and I would just like sit down and be like, "Oh, that's cool. There's a chord chart." You know. You know. Sorry, I'm not singing. I'm torturing y'all here. But I would just play around with the. I would just play around and play major chords. So I had no idea what I'm playing. Whenever I learned like order my steps. Remember that one? And I'm like learning it literally off of the like the sight reading thing, which is, I mean, I could play it, but if I messed up, I couldn't like just jump back in where I was, right? And so what I did is about 16, I started playing bass guitar at our church. And then I started actually really diving into chords, but I also started learning to play by ear using the bass guitar. I would pick songs out with the bass and took some piano classes. Actually, I always say, I wish I'd had this system. It's what made us put it together when I was like 16, 17, because my path would have been like so much shorter to learning to play. And I'm not saying that as a sales pitch. I really mean that. Like I had to take and just try to put the pieces together because it was just too much. And there wasn't a great curriculum out there. I had one curriculum I was using, but it taught me some cool stuff, but I really had to, like, I felt like I was having to put the pieces together and just figure it all out from scratch. And so long story short, about 16, 17 is when I really got serious into it. And I think one thing that made a difference is at the church I went to, we didn't use chord charts. Like they would just play. I mean, they'd literally be just like, hey, play the song. And I remember one time we had practiced for this like choir, not competition, but like choir thing. Like a bunch of choirs would come and just sing and just have a good time. And it was at the University of South Florida. And so I went there and I'm like, man, this is really cool. And we're just like, everybody's singing and they're playing. But the problem was when our choir got up to sing, our worship leader was like, hey, we changed the songs. And so we're not doing the songs we practiced. We're going to do these 2 songs instead. I mean, I've been wearing those songs out because I'm trying to get ready, right? And he changed these on me like literally at the thing. And I'm just like, I got up there. I'm just like, maybe I can just follow his hand and play, but it was so bad. Like I wasn't even close. And so we had another bass player there that was going to play organ, but he ended up subbing in for me and playing bass because I was like totally lost. So they probably just felt, but they kept working with me, letting me play and stuff. And I just, eventually started just hearing more things by ear playing. And then I learned all my chords. That was huge. And then I took some jazz lessons. They were secular jazz lessons that basically, I mean, we didn't learn anything bad. I mean, it was just like old standard songs. Most of them didn't even have words, out of a fake book. I got a fake book somewhere probably. Things upstairs. But anyways, so the fake book has got old standards like Over the Rainbow, somewhere over the rainbow. And so stuff like that, like you would learn like just real cheesy, like standard jazz stuff. But he taught me a lot of the concepts, and I started realizing a lot of these concepts translated into church music. And I taught a lot of lessons when I was in college. And like I said, I had no interest in teaching somebody how to play worldly music. I wouldn't teach them if they wanted to play it for out of church. I would only teach them to play for church. Just my personal thing. I'm not throwing shade at anybody. That's just what did it for me. And so, music's meant to glorify God, and this, that, and the other meant to have fun too. Won't get preachy, but basically, just started applying these concepts that I learned in jazz. Because, like, let's say this chord here, like I knew how to play like a B flat 9, use that a lot in the black church where I was at. They would always do that run. You know, I love that run. And what the jazz player did is he was teaching me this chord called fade. And fade, it looks like this. It's just this really cool chord. And it's fade because it's F-A-B-E, right? We teach it to you in AP, what is it? It's the jazz one. AP 701. Yeah, AP 701, lesson 12. How to use fade. Oh, and lesson 10, intro to fade. All right, so fade is this chord here. It's basically a G9 chord, but we changed the 5 to the 13. You could leave in the 5, I guess, too. But this chord, we use it a whole lot, and it just has this dissonant sound. Like dissonance means you have 2 notes back to back like that. So they're dissonant sounds because they're only a half step apart. Even though they're an octave apart, they're still only a half step apart musically. All right, so he took this chord, and I'm like, if you take that chord and invert it, you play it like this as well, right? So you play B, E, F, A. And I was like, oh, that's cool. And I'm playing one time, and I'm like, what a mighty God we serve. What a mighty God. And usually I would go to the G9. And then I was like, I hit this, and I was like, wait, that would work there. Like I hit it in my head before I hit it on the keyboard. You know, because I was like, wait a second, how that would sound if I just did that? And I was like, that sounds pretty hot. So then I started using that on the 2 chord, right? So that's kind of, then I was like, these concepts that I'm learning, we can apply them to church stuff too, right? So that's where all the voicings came from that we teach. A lot of those voicings are jazz voicings that we've integrated into the gospel music lessons. Cool. All right, guys. Oh my goodness, I don't want to talk everybody's ear off today. This has been fun. I always joke that I can talk about music all day, but I know some y'all probably need to go eat lunch or something. I think my tummy just rumbled a minute ago. But thank you for the kind words, Jeff. That's nice of you to say that. Any last questions here before we wrap it up? We've been all over the place. That's what's kind of fun about these lessons is the live classes. They're a little bit all over the place. I'll give y'all a second if you want to unmute yourself or type in type anything in the chat. And hey, if this has helped you out as well, feel free to unmute yourself or type in the chat and let me know how it's helped you. Like, what's a concept that you've learned today that you're going to take and apply? Or any like big flashes of revelation that you've had today. Feel free to share. That keeps me motivated to keep doing these too. Cool, we good? Jessica said, would you consider doing a session film? I think I see what you're saying. That pertains to a particular style. Yeah, that's a great idea. Oh my goodness. You know, I was kind of thinking about that earlier. I'm like, you know, some churches, like, they mainly do contemporary, right? Some churches mainly do Southern gospel. Some churches mainly do black gospel. I happen to be at a church it's mixed. So we do a lot of everything, you know, because we've got mix of ethnicities, ethnic backgrounds. So, you know, but not every church is like that. You know, demographics of your church may be different, right? So that you may have more of a tendency towards demographics, not even in a ethnic way, but maybe even in just a taste way, right? One of my best friends, he loves contemporary Christian music. I love black gospel, and we're completely different color. So completely different ethnic backgrounds. He's like Island or something, you know? But it's just, you never know. So I think that's a great idea. We could do, I think I'm gonna do that. That's a great idea. Thanks for saying that. So we may do a contemporary class next week or something. We'll put it out in the email. So just watch your emails. Love it. And even blues, like bluesy is to me another style, right? So a lot of churches, like, they like that. Like, we just had some folks move to our church and they came from Kentucky and they just like do like an old school, like throw down like blues jazz stuff, you know, which is one of my personal favorites. We don't really have a course for blues, but we need to probably make one. Because there is a place for it. You can really add a lot of those techniques and stuff in church music. I love it. Yeah, I love blues and jazz too. Oh my goodness. That's so cool. Well, awesome. Well, that's really good. I love it. We've had some fun stuff. Somebody else said they love blues too. Really fun to play. I do too. Don't tell anybody when I'm feeling carnal. Sometime I'll play Georgia on my mind. Like stuff like that. You know what I mean? It's just a lot of fun to play. It sounds really old school, like old timey type feel, but I love it. It's just a lot of fun. You can use a lot of that stuff in your hymns, a lot of your older hymns. Sometimes I'll sit down. In fact, if you go to our YouTube channel, I think we've got some that I've posted. I'm trying to think what we have. If we have anything on there, let me see if I've got. Let's see. I think you might have to search for it real good. Oh man, there is no telling. That's an older one. I've got some newer stuff on here. I just don't know where it's at. There's so much stuff on here. We go to manage videos. Let's try the next page. We'll finish this out with some prayer here in a second too. I was going to pray at the beginning and then we got going and never got back to it. Wow. Well, I thought I had posted them. Maybe I didn't post them. Yeah. Because I was doing a bunch of recordings for a while just for fun. Oh, here's one. I know who holds tomorrow. I think I just recorded that for a friend of mine though, or like my grandma or something. I can't remember. So I may not have sent that. I didn't. I posted it as unlisted. But I didn't really do it bluesy. But anyways, we do have some. We may have to do some more recording, but we do have also some stuff on our website where we do have some older hymns that we've done, and we've done them kind of fun, little jazzy, different style. So I want to find those videos now. I got to post them and share them in the next email or something. So, all right, y'all. It's been fun. God bless all of you. Let's finish out with some prayer here, and we'll jump. We got a class here at 6 tonight too, so look forward to doing that if any of y'all will be on it as well. Lord, thank you for this time together. Thank you, Lord, for music, God, for the gift that you gave us, Lord. Thank you for the chance, God, just to interact, Lord, with these awesome people, Lord. Pray continue to help them, be a blessing to them, Lord. You would bless their ministries, their music they're playing, God, that you would help them to learn according to your will for their lives. And we thank you for all these things in Jesus' name. Amen. All right, y'all. God bless, and look forward to seeing you either next week or tonight at 6. All right. Y'all take care.